So hello, and a very good evening, everyone. Happy Saturday. We are back here with our and really looking forward to this one. Uh, we'll be having our guest for today soon in a few minutes. And I'm really looking forward to this episode. This, for those who have joined new for the first time, this is our series of wellness talks, of talks around mental health, around talking about mental health and different therapies that are available out there. And we do this once in 15 days. We invite different guests to talk around mental health, to talk around therapy, to talk around wellness. And today's episode is very special because today's guest is going to be with us, like first male guest on our podcast. And I am very excited to have someone talking about therapy for men, because this is one topic which is least spoken about. Vivek, Vivek should be here in a few minutes. We are just waiting for Vivek, and I'm just trying to see if he's able to join or not. I see that he's unable to join for some reason. I'm just checking from my laptop. Until then, please stay tuned. Wait for this conversation. We are going to talk about NLP. We are going to talk about very interesting topic, which is Neuro-Linguistic Programming, NLP. And I see Vivek is here, but I can't
Yes.
see or hear you. I mean, I can hear you, but I can't see you, Vivek. Can you guys see Vivek? I see it's black completely, Vivek. The cam. Same black. Okay, let's just wait. He should be here in a few seconds. I'm going to send a request again to Vivek. I see he's online, and we should have him here in a few seconds. So Vivek is someone that I have really looked up to while I was learning therapy. And yeah,
Yes.
hello.
Here we go. Sorry about that.
Finally. No worries. So we've been like 1 or 2 minutes, so it's okay. This is the usual time that it takes,
Okay.
And we see a beautiful wall that we've seen behind Vivek while we were on a course together. So before I begin, I would really want to welcome Vivek on this episode. Thank you, Vivek, for accepting this invite and coming for this live. This is very like I'm really honored. I just want to begin by introducing you a little bit for those who are our viewers and who don't know you. I think it's very important.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I also want to tell you, thank you for having me on this IG live with you. And as you said, of course, we met when we were studying together. So I'm just quite interested to see what comes up next. So over to you, of course.
Yes. Okay. So Vivek is a certified hypnotherapist from IACT and ICF Coach, licensed trainer and practitioner of NLP under the Society of NLP Richard Bandler. And he is also trained in regression therapy, inner child work, and past life regression, where we happened to meet, where we were learning when we were learning from Riri Trivedi ma'am. And it has been an honor to see him in a class full of women. to have Vivek and get his insights. Because, and that is why this podcast is very special today, because we are going to talk for the first time about not only NLP. NLP is new for us, but also about men in therapy. So this, which is why this is special. He's also studied astrology, oracle, tarot, which is a rare combination of ancient wisdom and modern science to his sessions, usually.
Right.
And Vivek, it comes from a business background. He has a family business, which is an 85-year-old legacy. So it is like a journey from, business, studying business and doing business, and then coming to therapy. So,
Yeah.
Vivek, as soon as before we dive into this, can you share a little bit about your journey into NLP and what drew you into NLP, or what drew
Okay.
you into all of this? Because you've been into business for a very long time. You've worked with something which is very classic, which is Spider-Man.
Yeah. The Spider-Man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, while once again, Rumi, thanks for having me as a guest on your IG Live. Let's see where to begin. So, about my
Yes.
journey. Since you brought up Spider-Man, I'll start in the middle, which was I did my MBA thesis was in branding. It was back in 2005 and 6. And that was the time when the first two Spider-Man movies ever had come out. And my MBA
Okay.
director and I had a discussion about what if we were to study Spider-Man as a brand and how does that work? And it was a perfect combination because I'm a comic book geek. Like before the internet, I used to read comics, and it was a pleasure to work on that subject. Uh, so
I think we've
so
all
yeah, so I did my
grown up in an era where we would read comics as kids.
absolutely,
This
and
is
it's not just Spider-Man. It
completely
was back to
lost now. Like you
yeah,
can
yeah, like like
you hardly see
Tinkle, Amar
anyone
Chitra
doing it.
Katha. Yeah. So, I mean, one of the treats my parents used to give me was to, like, when we used to go traveling in the railway station, you'll have the bookwala, and then you'll have the Tinkle and the Amar Chitra Katha, and you'll buy that one comic, and then you'll hold on to it for the next trip. So that's where that began. Let's see. So, as you said, my family has been in business for a while, three generations, starting with my dad's side grandfather. So that went on for a while till my early 20s. So as a natural progression to that, I did economics. I came to Ahmedabad where, we also met, but of course, much later in
Yes,
life. So I
much
came to the
later. But yeah,
Entrepreneurship
yeah, I
Development
know you
Institute.
mentioned that you studied in Ahmedabad and you have a lot of friends here.
Yeah. So it was EDI Ahmedabad. And then after that, I worked for a few years, then MBA, all of that, came back. You do what the MBA people do, which is like investments, EABO, sub. So that happened for a while, and life went on like that. So somewhere early 2010 to 12, that range, start getting interested in personal productivity and how do you become the best version of yourself? Because you want to be like a top class businessman, right? So you think, I have to be productive with time, I have to be the best, blah, blah, blah. All of that happened. This went on for quite a few years. And basically, life may you have a few challenges. Like sometimes it could be the death of a loved one, it could be a divorce, it could be a loss of a job, a big breakup. It could be many things. So I was going through a life situation like this somewhere around 2017, 18. Now, during that time, you start questioning a lot of the things that you were targeting before. So in my case, it was the business success, the business this, the business that. And thankfully for me, because of the family background, I did have some cushioning financially, right? So I started getting curious about how do I support other people with their challenges that was similar to mine in business. It began as business. So the natural direction there was consulting and coaching. Even till today, my company is called Vivek Ravi Coaching and Consulting. So
Wow.
except that now we do personal consulting as opposed to business consulting, right? So
Okay.
that's how so pretty much that's how it began. It began as a search for answers in my crisis. So it took me into coaching to NLP, hypnotherapy, and so on and so forth. So that's in a nutshell how all of this began.
Okay. Interesting. So,
So
you know, It's very interesting to see, how your interest grew to, make your business better or learn to how to become the best at what you are doing and then becoming the best of what made you for the business. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Be- uh, so I know that one person that I can look up to when we are talking about NLP is you, because we've learned so much while just being in the same classroom. So tell us some basics about NLP. Where did it originate, or how, what exactly it is for a layman in a layman's language.
Okay. Um, so NLP is the study of successful behaviors and the successful thoughts that drive those behaviors. That's perhaps the easiest way to understand NLP. Any action we take, before we take it, there is some sort of a thought that we have. Even if it's something like someone rings the doorbell, you're like, oh, doorbell is ringing, I got to go answer it, right? When we do repeated behaviors, it happens so fast in our mind that the thought doesn't seem like there is a thought, right? So, for instance, if you wake up in the middle of the night and you want to use the restroom, you don't think, I need to use the restroom, I go, you just go. But the fact is that there is an understanding of what needs to happen and then it happens. So, similarly, if you think that all thoughts drive behaviors, that means all successful thoughts drive successful behaviors, and all not so successful thoughts result in not so successful behaviors and actions. So this is where NLP comes into play, by understanding what drives the actions behind. And it's a set of methodologies and tools that you can use to understand how all of this works, and then, of course, emulate the best of the most successful behaviors all around you.
Okay. So would you, want to talk about where, did this NLP thing originate, or where did it come from?
Right. Yes, that's a good question, Bhumi. So so NLP was created by Dr. Richard Bandler and John Grinder. This is back in the 60s and 70s, when they were studying the most successful therapists of their time. And this was mainly Virginia Satir, who's a family therapist, Fritz Perls, who's known as the founder of Gestalt therapy, and Milton Erickson, who is known as the father of modern hypnosis. So these three therapists were whom Richard and John modeled. They studied them. They studied what made them so successful with the results they were getting with their clients. Because back then they were, in Richard's, if I remember his words correctly, there were more than 150 schools of psychotherapy, each one of them trying a different modality and method. But the ones that got the results were amongst these three and some others that the two of them modeled. So what Richard and John did was they studied how these people were in every situation and then decoded a lot of it. It's almost like reverse engineering a great machine. Yeah. So that is pretty much what they did. And from that, NLP was born. So this is how they understood many different things that compose of NLP today. So it came from this work.
Interesting. So it's not something that, it's new. Like, people think that it's just come up, or it's just something which is trending. No, it has been there for a while now,
Yeah.
and there have been different thoughts of therapies that exist. It's just that a person has to feel that, what do I resonate with, and NLP is something that I think which is so simple and easy. So a lot of people think that NLP is something which is just positive thinking or motivational talk. What is your take on it, Vivek? I see a big no
NLP.
coming there. So yeah, I'm really excited for this one.
See, motivational talks and positive thinking has its place in the world, right? It isn't that these things don't add value to people's lives. But that is not NLP, right? NLP is neuro-linguistic programming, right? So you look at how, if you change the way you think, you can change the way you feel, and thereby you can change what you are capable of. Very simply, if you think about it, let's say you wake up in the morning, right? And you are in a foul mood. Do you really think you're going to have a great day or perform the best you can? Probably not, right?
No,
Whereas
no,
imagine
no. I
you
mean,
are, yeah.
mm, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Bhumi.
No, no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So
Is
yeah, so just like
is my voice
uh,
lacking by any chance? My network is good. You can hear me good. Is there
I
a
can,
lag?
I think there's a small lag. So I'll slow down a little bit.
I will change my. I've changed my internet connection. Maybe this is better now. See if you can. Is this better now? I changed my internet connection.
Yeah, it appears that this is better. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, I
Okay,
had
I
a
hear a
feeling.
comment. Yeah, yes, can hear you well. Yeah, I think this is much better. Yeah. So as
Perfect.
I was saying, if you wake up in the morning and you're in a terrible mood, then the output you're going to have is not likely to be the best of what you can offer. Whereas if you're in a great mood and a great state, then your performance will result in something fantastic, right? Most of the world-shattering records in the Olympics are done by people who are in a great state, you know. So there is a difference between positive thinking and being in a state that is successful or productive or whatever state that you want the result for, right? It's not that you always want to be positive and happy and great. There may be situations
And it
where
is
you
not
don't.
possible for everyone to always be positive.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's not practically possible, right? That you
Yeah.
be positive and happy all the time, every morning. It's not possible.
Yeah, and in fact, in situations where there are emergencies happening, you don't want somebody who's positive. You want somebody who's effective, somebody who's resilient, somebody who's solutions oriented, you know? So each situation can demand a different state, and therefore, positive thinking has its place, but NLP is something that helps you change the way you are so that you can adapt to the best version that you can be for that particular situation. So this is the best part
Interesting.
I would say about NLP.
So it's basically like if you are in a difficult situation or a bad day, you adapt yourself in a way that you make it better for yourself. Am I correct?
That could be one of the strategies. So in NLP, there are also strategies.
Okay.
So there are. Let me put it this way: NLP is a bit like a Swiss Army knife, right? You have different tools for different situations. Now, when you want to be in a state where you're resourceful, there are various ways for you to get there. And one of them is for you to be able to connect to the feelings and resources you need at that point in time. Yeah. So, what I would say about NLP is that it works with the way we speak, which changes the way we feel, which changes the way our thought patterns work, and therefore it will change how you will respond to any situation, how you might end up, what shall we say, acting or behaving in that moment.
Hmm. Okay. So, how does when you are saying all of this,
Right.
the next question comes to my brain is that how does all of this work? Like, are you working with your subconscious mind, or are you working with your language pattern? What does it exactly happen? How do you do that?
Wow, I think you've touched like a huge set of things that we could be working with. So, see, NLP teaches you a whole set of tools, right? As a practitioner. So, as a practitioner of NLP, let me give you an example. Just a minute ago, you were thinking about a question, right? And as you were thinking about a question, your eyes moved upwards in this direction,
Hmm.
right? And you were, which is the right for me. Um, and what happens there is we know that when we look at a person's eyes, they kind of give a signal as to what they could be doing, right? So there's something called eye accessing cues. Understanding this helps you read another person. So I'm sure you would have heard of sales training courses and negotiation courses and mergers and acquisitions. What all they read nonverbal signals, right? So one of the signals given to us is the way a person's eyes move. So this is a small subsection within the curriculum of the NLP course. So apart from that, there could be things like how do people process information, right? So how do we process information? It's through the five senses we have: sight, smell, taste, touch, and what have I left out? Sound, right?
Yeah.
So these five senses. So any input from the world we process in the five senses, and each memory we have has a different quotient for each of these senses. For example, if it's the memory of, let's say, somebody you love in your family, there could be a lot more emotions associated with the picture of that person. Yeah.
Mm.
Let's say you're listening to a piece of music. Then again, it could be emotional, but it's also linked to the sound that you're remembering. Yeah. Now, if you take it into the negative side, you might remember a teacher in school telling you, "Are you stupid?" And sometimes we carry these voices further in life. And every time you make a mistake, you kind of hear that voice and you repeat it and you say, "Oh my God, I'm so stupid," or "Are you stupid?" So there are various memories which are coded using the five senses. So this is
Mm.
a whole section which we call as submodalities, simply because the five senses are referred to as five modes.
Mm.
Any function of a sense. So, for example, with sight, it is light, color. These are the attributes of one sense. If it's taste, it's bitterness, sourness, sweetness, etc. Right?
Mm.
So those are sub-modalities. So when you understand sub-modalities, you understand how a person is encoding the information you're giving them. Yeah. So let me give you a small example. Let's say that we're going to assume that you're a person that likes sound, that processes a lot of information via sound, you lean towards it. Now, let's be clear to say that this doesn't mean you don't use your other senses. It's just that some people lean towards sound, some people lean towards visual, right? And you can have a combination of the two. Now, if you're leaning towards sound and you like a lot of music, and you might ask me a question like, Vivek, how does that sound to you? Right? And these are unconscious ways of expressing our preferences. You'll say, Vivek, how does this plan sound to you of coming on a live and talking about NLP? And I'll be like, let me see, right? Because my preference might be visual, right? So your language sometimes gives you cues as to how each person is processing the information, right? So you're telling me, how does this sound like? And I'm saying, let me see what that looks like, right? So there is a little bit of a difference in the way you and I are processing information. Now, if we were to fall into sync, you might perhaps understand that I'm saying, let me see what do I think about it? So then you would say, Vivek, when you think about doing an IG live, what do you see happening in this event, right? Or if I were to connect with you, I would say, Bhumi, this sounds interesting because I'm trying to match you at some level, right? Or you're trying to match me. Now, these are small observational tools that you get to use once you're trained. Now, where do you use them? It could be anywhere. It could be in a conversation with your family. It could be in a negotiation. It could be with just any person to understand them better. Because when we connect with people in the way that they like to be connected with, your rapport grows with them. And therefore, the connection becomes more meaningful. And then you can take any conversation or action much further than if you had no rapport. Yeah. So,
Interesting.
yeah. So these are like small snippets of what should we call it? Modules within NLP that you learn, which you can then tie together to form a much larger picture. And as you can see, I just said much larger picture, so more visually
Yeah,
dominant.
but the example that you gave was very powerful. So, when you say that, how you work with different senses, it also takes me a little bit towards a yogic perspective or Vedantic perspective,
Mhm.
where they talk about the panch jnanendriya, and how things are processed, like in yoga.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, one of the interesting things, by the way, is that Richard Bandler spent a lot of time in India.
Okay.
And I had an opportunity to have a small chat with him because this year I was at another training with Richard in Orlando. So while I was there, I was just asking him because I was the only participant who had traveled all the way from India. So I was telling Richard, Richard, would you consider coming back to India? He said, yeah, I would. It was the one place where I was received so well and the people welcome you so well that he was genuinely moved, and
Wow.
and then he asked me to speak to somebody on his team. So who knows? Maybe Richard might be here in a year or so.
Yeah, and maybe I know that there is a training coming up by you, so I hope that one of the trainings we see him.
Yeah. So we are now, as you said, I started learning NLP back in 2019, and then I went through the various modules that they have. So there's a practitioner, master practitioner. Now there's a new course called NLP Coach, and then the licensed trainer, right? So once you're a licensed trainer, you're certified by the society, like Richard Bandler's Society of NLP, certifies your work. So basically, we teach an 8-day NLP program, which is in person, not online,
Oh,
because
wow.
there are a lot of things that you just cannot do online. And once you go for the training, you would really understand the difference. So this is an 8-day program that we teach. The practitioner is the first level. We're introducing it in India like pretty soon. I'll announce the dates on my website and keep you and all your listeners informed.
Yes. So after all the information that you gave, what are, the type of clients or challenges that people come to you, or you think in different people's life that NLP can be applied and helped with? That someone can get help with NLP.
Okay. Um, so NLP, it really, a lot of it depends on the creativity of the practitioner. However, it can be applied for a wide set of scenarios. So one of them, which I think is a really powerful tool, is to dismantle phobias, right? And I've been attending, as I said, this training since 2019. And in 45 minutes, we take the client through a process, and the phobia that they could have carried for as long as 10, 15, 20 years is dismantled, and they completely get over it, right?
Wow.
So in our training, and I'm not exaggerating here, imagine a snake this thick, right? And 5 people need to carry it like that on their shoulders. So, as I said, 8-day training program. At the start of the program, Richard is constantly asking, so who's scared of spiders, who's scared of snakes and stuff like that. And you'll see participants almost lifting their legs and body onto the chair because they're so scared. They have such a strong phobia that even the thought of the snake makes them scared, right? And therein lies the clue, because what's happening there is no snake on day one. He just asked the word, said the word snake. The word has triggered the thought where the person is actually building a huge picture of a snake in their mind and literally scaring themselves with it, you know? So that is actually what happens with a lot of phobias, is actually the client's neurological processes are actually scaring the client repeatedly. You're remembering a bad memory and a bad feeling and scaring yourself with it by distorting it out of proportion, right? So this is one of the most powerful things I've seen, that in
That's
45 minutes,
I
like,
mean, I have
yeah,
seen that we do a different kind of phobia work that we've learned from Riri ma'am. But that's a whole different set of therapy. I think this is very interesting that, in 45 minutes, because we've seen so many clients suffer
yeah,
really badly for
yeah,
years with a certain
yeah,
phobia. And it is, for some people, it is actually, disturbing their daily life. So something like this,
yeah,
uh, can be very powerful, and not every client, I think a lot of clients are very logical and practical, so
yeah,
they don't believe in hypnotherapy or the type of therapy that we go through, so I
yeah,
think for such clients NLP is something which is very powerful.
yeah, yeah. NLP is very solution oriented, right? That you don't have to do an archaeological dig into the psychological feelings that gave birth to the fear, etc. You're looking
Yeah.
at, I said the word snake, what's happening to you, right? And what's happening to the person with that phobia is that their, let's say, the whole mental process is just thrown into disarray. And it's like rolling on a cycle downhill, right? They have no control. So what we do is we help the client train themselves and understand how to break this loop, and then how to reform a much better strategy and a much better behavior when the same thing comes up again. So this is where NLP is really powerful and also really effective it's not just about speed, it's effective. It happens for life. Once you break the pattern, the person doesn't need to be afraid anymore. Because if you think about it, let's say if a person's been bitten by a dog, the entire incident where a person gets bitten by a dog does not last more than 2 to 3 minutes. Like a dog comes, bites you, you get bitten and you're scared, and then, maybe you went to the doctor, etc., etc. So what happens there? The person holds on to the phobia for the rest of their life. Imagine something that took you 5 minutes, now you retain for life.
Yeah,
But
and you suffer really badly with something like this. And I've like literally seen people around me or even clients.
yeah, so literally what we're doing is we're
And the
also
best part
building the,
is, like you said, that you don't have to go to that origin and
we
work
don't
on
need
that,
to. Yeah,
which is I think very good,
yeah,
because sometimes the clients are not comfortable to,
yeah,
even talk
and
back that memory.
yeah, and the question to be asked here is, if you can finish something in 45 minutes, do you really want to spend, a month or two doing the same thing or taking a longer route? This isn't like
And at
going
the
on a
same
scenic
time, do
journey.
you also want to, live all your life with that phobia?
Exactly,
Just
right?
go
So
for one session and sort yourself out.
absolutely, because if you learn the phobia in 5 minutes, it means you can forget the phobia by doing the same thing in the opposite direction. And this is fundamentally what we're going to do,
Amazing,
right?
amazing.
So yeah, as you said, phobia dismantling is one of the biggest things that I really enjoy the effects of, and I think it's one of the most powerful things I've witnessed in NLP. But there are so many. The range is quite wide. You can use it even so. Even though I said NLP is not about going into the past, etc., etc., I know lots of therapists that have trained in NLP and use these skills to develop better connections with clients. Excuse me. And also to better understand what pictures are the clients making. How do we reframe that? So NLP is not about being a subject. It can actually help you, become better at whatever else you are doing, whether you choose to go the archaeological route or whether you choose to go the action-oriented route.
So we
Either way,
have
you
one of
can.
your client talking here. She says, Vivek has helped me overcome my phobia of worms. I lived with it for over 40 years and I overcame the fear in one session. Wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
So, in a sense, what I said,
Thank you
thank you for
for
sharing
sharing
that,
that.
Nasina.
Yeah,
So, in essence, if we replace that example of the dog or the snake or the spider with worms, that is literally what we did in a single session. So,
amazing, amazing. So I also know that you specialize in addictions. So can you share how NLP helps with specific challenges like addictions or breaking bad habits or anxiety or people with confidence? I see a lot of people coming with stage fear as well. So how do you help? Anchoring techniques. What are some anchoring techniques that you help them with?
well, I would, like I said, each person processes information differently. So while we meet a person, we always calibrate for every client right from the start, right? So I will understand how is this person processing information, what are the filters through which they have, what are the filters through which they're perceiving their current problem. So let's say, so you said addiction. So let's take cigarette smoking, right? So there is obviously something that drives a person to smoke, right? Now, most of the time, you might think, oh, most people start smoking because they want to be cool, but that's not really the case. It's not about what you started with, it's why you're doing it now, right? So we kind of do a peel down of understanding what this person is doing, where they're doing it, and why they're doing it. And then you look at what are the kind of pictures they're forming, what are the thoughts that are going on in their mind, what are the things they're saying to themselves, and what are they feeling when they are experiencing this requirement to smoke. And through various processes, you can just dismantle them. So one example is you build two pictures, right? You build a picture of the person you are, the thing, the unhelpful behavior, right? Which is of you smoking. And then you build a picture of who you are, who you want to be when you have finished smoking and you've put that habit away forever. And you look at this picture, which is, the picture of who you want to be, and this picture of who you don't want to be, right? And what we do is then we manipulate the aforementioned submodalities, which is the way we're processing the picture. So you take the image and you shrink the bad image down and blink it out completely, right? And while doing that, we take the image of the person you want to be and blow it up larger than life size. Get the person to step into that picture, make them feel it like it's a real life event, almost as if they're like in an IMAX and they're in the shoes of the human being that they desire to be, right? So we do this process is known as a swish. So when we do that technique, you can just take the bad picture, shrink it down, blink it black and white, and it's out. And simultaneously replace it with the picture of the person they want to be, make it much larger, make that person step into it, feel it through all their senses, like feel how the air smells without the smell of cigarettes around, how a flower could smell, what perfume they could smell on their partner, how they could taste food much better, because everybody knows that if you smoke, you start to lose your sensation of taste, So this is how, very briefly, this is how we would use one of the
Amazing,
techniques.
amazing. I'm sure because I know that you've helped a lot of people successfully, come out of this.
Yeah, cigarette
You mentioned
smoking
this,
has
so
been,
it's very
yeah,
interesting for and very necessary as well, because not only smoking, there are people who suffer and they want to come out of bad habits, but they don't know what
true.
is the way, because a lot of things that really claim can help actually don't help.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. And I think the biggest draw for me about NLP is the fact that you can use this, the client understands that you can use their, like, how shall I reframe this? Sorry. So every person has the ability to achieve whatever they desire to achieve, right? Using NLP, we help them understand that by untangling the myths and problems that sometimes they create for themselves, right? And then you help a person see what they are capable of and connect them with that and get them to go there. This is the biggest achievement, I think, of NLP, because imagine what could you be if you had no limits? That is the potential of NLP. Imagine how much happiness you could have in a day. How many people get up in the morning and say, how much joy can I stand today? Most of us get up in the morning and say, oh my God, I wonder what can go wrong today, right? But what if you were to consider the other question? How much joy can I stand today? And it's these kind of thought patterns. If you change the way you think, you end up changing the way you feel. And when you feel differently, what you're capable of grows immensely.
Exactly. So when you talk about such powerful techniques, one such powerful technique that you could share with our listeners today, that they can easily try or feel, which is, something very small that they could, practice on their own to feel that shift.
Okay. Okay, let's play a tiny game.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you to think of two different people and I'll walk you through it. Yeah. So
Okay.
Bhumi, I'm going to use you as the example, right? Because
Okay.
we don't know how many people are watching and they can try this while they're listening to this again.
Yes.
So I
Guys,
want you to,
try.
yeah. So I want you to think about somebody you didn't really like in a work situation. Oh, not really.
Okay.
Yeah. Notice how you feel inside of you, right? Think about what you're seeing when you think of this person. Think of the things you're hearing. Yeah. Have you made a note of all of that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Now let's just wipe that all away. So I'm just going to, by the way, I just want to ask you, do you like watermelon as a juice or a fruit?
Both.
Both, right? Okay. So just as a tip, that's called a breaker state question, because I don't want you to stay lingering in the feeling of feeling bad, right?
Okay.
So now I want you to think of somebody that you really love in your life. It can be a family member, partner, any person in the family or beyond, somebody you really like.
Okay.
Yeah. I can already see the smile on your face.
Yeah.
Right? So notice while you're thinking of that person, the picture in your mind. Yeah. Notice the things that you're hearing in that scene when you think of that person. Notice how you feel. Notice how you see the scene and yourself, whether you're seeing yourself from outside, like as of watching yourself through a camera, or whether you are in your own shoes looking at the person that you really love. Yeah?
I mean, yeah, I can see myself and the person, like I'm the camera.
Yeah. Now, the reason why I'm not going to break this down further is because each person will experience this differently. Now, what I want all of you to do is to think about one, this first scene where you thought of the person you didn't like, and the second scene where you thought of the person that you liked, right? You will notice. Now, as I started, we said we process information through our five senses: sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, and also emotions. Okay. So break down these two scenes into those categories. What do I see? What does that picture look like? Is it color? Is it black and white? Is it life size or tiny? Is it right in front of my face or is it far away? Is it flat or is it all around me? Right? So that would be how you break down just the visual element of your memory. And similarly, you go down the list for what are the sounds come to you in each scene? What are the sounds that came to you in each scene? Was it high volume, low volume? Was it shrill or was it deep? Was it coming from one ear or was it coming from front, behind, what direction? Break down each of these elements to the biggest detail that you can, because each incident is unique to you, right? So you write down or you kind of think it through and see the difference between these two. Then notice the difference that makes the difference. In the good memory, I saw something one way. In the bad memory, I saw something in another way. And you start to notice that these things are slightly different. So now the clue is when you're in a good state, you know what your state is like in terms of what you see, what you hear, what you taste, touch, smell, and feel, right? So understanding that this is how I am when I'm in a great state is the key to putting yourself back into that state. So,
Okay.
yeah. So
Very
what you do is,
interesting.
so what you do is when you think about like, let's say you want to feel good, right? If you just think about that person you love, you're already feeling good, aren't you? Right?
Yeah.
So this is how you change. So when you like this, you can actually sit down, perhaps with a book or a journal, and write down, when have I been most courageous? What were the things I noticed about myself then? When have I been most resilient? What would I notice about myself then? And these are like a snapshot of how you are in that state of being, which is your resourceful state. And the next time you want to go into a state of problem solving or courage or love, you know that you can tap into those feelings again just by connecting with all those aspects about yourself. And this is how we would help someone notice about themselves. Remember, we are not doing any magic for somebody else.
Yeah.
This is actually
And
just,
so easily the way you told, just to imagine this person and then this person, and then you in just a few seconds you can see the shift
yeah,
or
right. Right? So
experience
imagine
different.
what have we done now? You and I are on an IG live, right? We are
Yeah.
just talking. All I have said are words. So what does that mean? The words that I have spoken, that you have processed, have the ability to change the way you feel. So if you change the way you think, you change the way you feel, therefore you change what you're capable of doing. And that's the nutshell of NLP.
Amazing, amazing. So how beautifully you can just reprogram yourself, or change shift the way you are feeling about
Yeah.
something, even if you are in the middle of uh, a very bad situation at work, or a very upsetting argument, and then suddenly you shift your attention to something different and your mood changes even in that moment of discomfort, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing, amazing, Vivek. I think we've learned some amazing NLP easy technique that each one of us can just try
Yeah.
at our home.
Yeah. In fact, Richard has written over 35 to 36 books on NLP. And the funniest thing is like this, like one of the books I finished most recently, which is called Get the Life That You Want. It deals completely with how you can do this for yourself step by step. And I remember the book was so engaging. I finished it in like 2 days flat. But it's a book I highly recommend because it touches on the topic we spoke, which is submodalities. So it's very accessible for any person to try any one of the exercises in that book. And you'll notice the difference that it makes to your life. So it's an amazing book. I highly recommend it. Maybe it's on my shelf. I'll grab it in a moment.
Sure, sure. Thank you for that recommendation. So now I think I want to move on to the next very important topic of our discussion today for men in therapy. So what do you think? Many men, they really hesitate to seek therapy or emotional support. I've heard from men, oh, I'm not that weak, or मेरे को therapy की जरूरत नहीं है. All this is nonsense. What is your take on it? I really want this one for my viewers because, I have really seen people saying this.
Okay. So when you say what's my take on it, what specifically would you like me to comment on?
I mean, what do you think? Why men really hesitate to seek help, seek therapy? Why do they don't, go for therapy? What is that difference?
Yeah. It's an interesting question, and I'll be upfront to say that I don't have any current updated statistics on this issue. So I'm just kind of giving more of a general gist of what I believe could be some probable reasons why this seems to be the case. See, there are constructs or ideas in our society that men should be strong, you can't cry, and even and I remember even as a little boy, like people be like, oh, you're a big boy now, you can't cry. These are things that I've said to us when we are young. So when you grow up with a lot of these ideas that are inserted into you as
I've
a
also
young
heard
child,
this in Hindi very often said कि अरे क्या लड़कियों की तरह रो रहा है? Why can't a man not cry?
excuse me. Absolutely. I mentioned this recently. I've even had relatives, like relatives and friends who are girls, who have said, oh, stop acting like a girl, when you're being a bit emotional and stuff like that. But let me also caveat that by saying that this happened at a time when we were far less aware of the world around us. So those were kind of outdated ideas. And I think the scene is changing. And I'll tell you why. Prior to COVID, I've noticed that generally what you're saying seems to be held true. Like men don't go to therapy. If you say the word psychiatrist, God forbid, no one is going to come around you, right? Thereafter. However, I feel that post-COVID, because what happened is a lot of people got shut down and shut into their houses, and they didn't have a place to escape from. When you are put in a room by yourself for a while, eventually all the thoughts that are lying submerged will start to come out, right? So I think over time, because also as a result of the lockdown, people started going online a lot more, Zoom opened up, a lot of mental health resources started popping up online. It also became very convenient for people to do this privately without having to worry about a lot of other things. Like if I go to a psychiatrist's office and somebody sees me, what will happen? And there's a lot of actions you need to take before you land up at a doctor's clinic and then take a consultation, right? Whereas if you're on a Zoom link, the number of acts taken to get to the therapy session is far less. And it's private and it's in your room. Nobody needs to know. All you have to say is, I'm in a meeting, I'm in a Zoom meeting, I'm shutting the door.
And nobody knows about it.
That's how nobody knows about it. So I would say that this has changed tremendously the way that people are seeking therapy.
Have you seen men clients? And if yes, I mean, what are these common challenges that men go through in their mental or emotional health journey?
Oh, wow. Okay. So I have, I'm going to generalize a little bit from what I've observed with clients of mine. And because as you know, we've trained together in therapy. So we know about some generic case studies that we've all studied, right? I find that the thought that a man has to do things on their own is a dominating program, right? That if you're a man, you got to figure it out on your own. Like the chances of people, like, I mean, there's a cliche joke that like men will never ask for directions when they drive in a car, right? Like that's an old joke. So similarly, I feel like this program that men got to figure it, you got to figure it out. You're a man, figure it out, go get it done. You know, this culture of asking for help, asking for assistance is kind of partially seen as a weakness. So that could be perhaps one of the drivers that makes men refrain from asking for help. Because what
Also,
happens when
they are
you're
burdened with so much on them.
yeah
Like, you have to take care of everything. You are
yeah
the one who's supposed to run the family, or
yeah
you are the one who is the head of the family. And sometimes it's overwhelming for them as well, right?
absolutely.
Like, they
Yeah.
deserve the break, emotional break.
Yeah, it's true. So, you know, one of the challenges, as you said, is that there are a lot of responsibilities that are thrust upon a person, men in general in society. That has been the experience so far. I know it's changing across the world
Yeah,
and
it is
even in our
changing,
country,
absolutely.
but
But there,
yeah, it's
there is still
there's still
a long way to go.
absolutely right. So I would say that one of the things that stops men is the idea like it doesn't occur to you that you know what I could just ask for help. It just doesn't occur to you because you're like all your life you're like I got to figure this out. I got to figure this out. So that's like a big driver. Another one is how will I be seen in the eyes of the people that I love? Because it is vulnerability is equal to weakness is the program dominating there. You know, if I admit that I have a problem, then I'm less than a man or less than a person. So I would say that would probably be the second big idea that's stopping men from going forward. If I may make a slightly controversial statement, it's also how their relationships are with women, right? Because there are some traditional roles, again, outdated ideas, right? That men should be this way, women should be this way. But these stereotypes, as I mentioned before, like as a child, I've heard girls telling me, don't be like a girl. I've heard like, you know, similar statements being said to other men. So, you know, I think it's a two-way street where whatever traditional roles that women are breaking out of today, men also need to do the same, right?
Agree.
And I think it's a collective process where we can help one another to break through both our roles collectively. And
Yeah,
that's just my personal view on that
I
matter
agree.
as it stands
I
today.
absolutely agree.
Yeah.
I think it's the teamwork. Like, if men are supporting women to break the rules and change the stereotypes, I think women should also do the same for men.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
agree.
Yeah. So I would say those were the three main points that I've seen generally that builds up resistance for men to go for therapy. So, but it's
The next question
changing.
comes to
Yeah.
me is that do you think NLP could be something which feels more approachable to men than the traditional therapy?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Reason being,
Because
I,
I feel that men are, like more logical. So NLP could, something that would work better for men.
that would be definitely like an idea you could consider. However, I've attended NLP training since 2019, almost every year I would say, and there are almost an equal number of women as there are men. You know, so that has been my experience. Uh, I would say that the draw of NLP is that it's definitely a doer's modality. It's not it's for a person that wants to take action and get results. It's not for someone that's prone to musing about things, to kind of philosophize about life. That's where like the difference between therapy and NLP is that NLP is definitely for you to get going, get action into your day and just break through whatever it is that's stopping you or go around it, whichever way it works. So
Whatever works. I think
whatever
it's
works,
also about exploring what works for you.
yeah, absolutely. It is definitely about that. In fact, with certain clients, sometimes you would start with a particular modality and then you would say, oh, you know what, this isn't quite, there's something not quite clicking. So you'll switch, and the versatility of the practitioner is what determines the outcome for the client. And like I remember Richard talking to us about, how they say, oh, there are bad students. And he says, no, there are no bad students. There are only teachers who have not tried everything possible, you know.
I agree.
So,
I absolutely agree to that.
so yeah, so that's how, I mean, I would say that's the draw of NLP. It's definitely for people who are ready to make the change in their lives.
So, towards ending this topic on men's mental health, there could be a lot of men who are watching this podcast and or will watch later on, and they are struggling themselves,
Yeah.
and they are still silent about it and not going out there to seek help. What is one thing that you would like to tell them?
Well, to all the men that feel like they are going through something challenging, the fact of the fact of the matter is, every man and every woman are going through something challenging, right? The main question you need to ask yourself is, how much energy are you losing to this challenge, and is it really worth it? And imagine, what if you could just have the life that you wanted, and what if that life can be given to you in 45 minutes or just a little bit more? Why carry a burden when you don't need to? Why not reach out and just work on yourself with a few tools that will then enable you to tackle similar such problems for the rest of your life? For example, as we were talking about phobias and how they are a matter of how your brain works, once you understand that, then not only can you make sure that you never have another phobia again, you can help other people get over their phobias as well. So
Interesting.
yeah. So
Agree.
I would say, in summation, I would say, uh, take advantage of technology, right? There's so much privacy afforded to us by online consultations, online searches. Search out for professional help, for people who are certified by the Society of NLP. And I'm saying this not because I'm a person who's certified by the society. Excuse me. I'm saying this because the Society of NLP, Richard Bandler, is a society that trains people in NLP based on what Richard has studied and Richard has developed all these years. You want to get as close to the source as possible. So that's the only reason why I recommend that you go for people that are
Absolutely, I
certified by the
agree.
society. Yeah.
There's another question that we have is,
Sure.
how do therapists maintain their own mental health while helping others?
Excuse me. How do therapists maintain their own mental health? So one suggestion that I'd like to make here is, we talk about mental health a lot. What if you were to consider that just mental health is just health? You know, we don't talk about right arm health and left arm health
Yeah,
and right foot health. So mental health is just health. So that's just an idea I'm throwing out there. But with regard to your question, just the way any person could do it, meaning there shouldn't be any difference between how a mental health therapist does it and how you do it, right? So you could practice a whole range of tools and techniques. But the first one I would talk about is how you observe yourself. And this, I think, will connect more for you, Bhumi, because this goes back to yoga and breathing, right? The biggest tip is at the tip of your nose, right? Whatever you're facing, when you face it, notice that your breathing will change. When you are actually in a stressful situation, your breath will change. So if you start to observe your breath literally at the tip of your nose, you will know when you're out of sync and when you're in sync, when you're regulated, when you're dysregulated, right? And hey, most of us are living in India, as far as I understand from the people that follow Bhumi. There's so many techniques that pranayama offers. So they're breathing techniques. They could be, stress relief techniques. As I said earlier, there's so many tools online available. So a mental health therapist would do pretty much some of the techniques that you would read anywhere online. I suppose if I were to read a little bit further into the question, it would be about how do you cope with dealing with other people's problems, which is why it's essential to go see people who are trained in person. Because when you're in person trainings, we go through a lot of simulations.
that's
And
right.
these simulations train us as to how to cope with various things that come up in a session. And so these are additional tools that therapists use. Honestly, they're not really quite valid unless you are in the process of therapy. So, I would say, start with your breath, and that would be the easiest place to start.
Thank you. Thank you. So, yeah, I mean, one myth that you would like to, burst about NLP that people think is true, or, but it's not.
Something people, okay, yeah, you know what? Oh, here's something interesting. If you go to Wikipedia and search for NLP, it says NLP is a pseudoscience. You know, and I just want to clarify here from all of our trainings, I've never once heard anyone say that NLP is a science, right? Now, science is about testing a phenomenon with empirical data, making sure that the same result happens no matter who the target is, no matter where you are on the globe. This is about empirical evidence. That's how science works, right? Now, I'm not saying that NLP doesn't have consistent results. It's just that the common criticism towards NLP is that there isn't enough data. That's because NLP practitioners are busy doing things. They're not busy studying NLP. They study the NLP and then they work with people to break through challenges like phobias. So I believe there are now institutes that are focusing on the academic side, which means studying how NLP works in terms of number of clients, seeing whether this works across all populations and all of that. So I would just say that the one myth is don't believe everything you read online. And definitely it's nothing like it's neither a science or a pseudoscience. It's a set of methodologies and tools that you can use to improve your life and just be the best version you can be. So if there is
and
a
if
myth that
something
needs
is
to be
really
busted,
helping, what is wrong about trying it?
Yeah, just give it a shot, because what is your experience, right? Like I might have been talking about dogs for a while, about phobias, but here was somebody on the IG live that said that they had a fear of worms. Now, does that mean because I spoke about dogs, it's not going to work for worms? You got to try it out, So don't close yourself out of options by not trying things. Try them and then decide whether they work for you or not.
We have another question for you, which is, should all therapists learn NLP? Will it help them?
As a licensed trainer of NLP, I'll say yes, you should learn NLP for 100%. I would say that all therapists that learn NLP will find their work far more efficient, faster, and they will definitely deliver clients' results much faster than people who perhaps don't have NLP in their repertoire. That's my opinion on this, simply because I've also studied hypnotherapy and of course, with you, Bhumi, regression, past life regression, and whatnot, right? We've done a lot of modules. But if you, and you've seen me in some of the demos where we practice with each other. NLP helps me decode a lot of things much faster than maybe somebody else who has not learned NLP. And it also helps me help a client reframe their belief systems, change thought patterns. All of these skills are highly, highly, highly useful to any therapist. So in a nutshell, yeah, come do my training.
So now I will tag a question after this is, if people want to come to your training or would want to work with you, where can they connect with you or learn more about your work?
Okay, so I have two websites. One is vivekrevi.com. Revi is spelled R-E-V-I. Vivekrevi.com. This is for my one-on-one client work where I use a range of modalities, not just NLP, but also hypnotherapy and all the other courses you and I trained on, right? So that's my one-on-one practice. But the place to go for NLP related work is the Habitude Company. So HABITUDE.co, not com.co. So the habitude.co is the place that you need to go for to understand more about the work in NLP.
And I know that there's a NLP full-fledged training coming soon.
Yeah.
So guys, please follow him to, get to know about that. Vivek, my last question to you would be, what would be one message or affirmation that you would want to leave our audience today with?
Yeah, I think I will just repeat what I've heard Richard repeat, and something that I like to follow to the best of my ability, which is when you wake up every morning, ask yourself, how much joy can I stand today, and then just go for it.
Amazing. Powerful, very powerful. I think today's conversation, Vivek, was extremely powerful. Thank you so much for, sharing your wisdom, truths, warmth with us. And to everyone watching, healing begins with awareness. So you have
Absolutely.
taken a step today by watching this episode. So take the next step if you need to do whatever resonates with you, and keep following us to see some amazing conversations like this that we bring every 15 days with different therapists. And if today's conversation moves something in you in some or the other way, please share it with someone that could benefit too. Yeah. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Vivek.
Well,
Very, very grateful for this.
thank you, Bhumi. And I also just want to say to anybody listening, and for people who watch this recording in future, you can also reach out to at Hypnotherapy by Viv to reach out to me via Instagram.
Thank you
Thanks
so
so
much.
much, Bhumi. It was such a pleasure being on this. And I've seen all your previous lives as well. You're doing some amazing work, and looking forward to watching some of the other people you're going to have soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really hope that people benefit from this. And if there are people who are silent, sitting there, not taking the steps that they need to, I hope that one of these lives can help one or two people. It will be of great help.
I'm sure it's helping a lot more people than that, Bhumi. You're an amazing therapist, and well, I know that firsthand. So congratulations and all the best for your work in the days to
Thank
come.
you. Thank you so much, Vivek. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.